You ready? Alrighty, let's get it.
In our zeal to basically grow our content significantly to serve our mostly our streaming offerings, we ended up taxing our people way beyond, in terms of their time and their focus, way beyond where they had been. Marvel's a great example of that. And frankly, it diluted focus and attention.
The performance of some of our recent films has definitely been disappointing, and we don't take that lightly.
We know what's happening. It had nothing to do with making more or less. What it had to do with was what you were focusing your product on. You didn't want to make stories that were all about the heroes and the villains. Oh, no, no, no. You wanted the virtue signal. And where did that get you?
As you'd expect, we're very focused on improving the quality and the performance of the films that we've got coming up. It's something that I'm working closely with the studio on. I'm personally committed to spending more time and attention on that as well.
What are you going to do?
Reducing output overall to enable us to concentrate on fewer projects and improve quality.
I've always felt that quantity can be actually a negative when it comes to quality, and I think that's exactly what happened. We lost some folks.
It's not what happened. It had nothing to do with how much you put out. If you had continued doing things how you were doing them, pretty much up to Infinity War, because after Infinity War, we got Captain Marvel, super woke, terrible movie, horrible, empty theaters, controversy. And then we got Endgame. Don't worry, she's gonna help. Sprinkle just a little bit in. Whenever I watch Endgame, I always start it from good. Long as we're all in agreement. Let's kill him properly this time. That's where I always started from. I never watched the first half of the movie. Your greatest movie, arguably, is Infinity War, period. You know what I mean? I mean, people probably argue Infinity War, Civil War, and the Winter Soldier. You know what I'm saying? If you had done things the way you had been doing them all the way up to Infinity War, after Endgame, you'd be fine. You would be fine. You would be ruling the entertainment business like none other at this time, considering everything that you've brought out since then. You would have had the money because everything would have been up to par story-wise and people wouldn't have felt preached to and left. That's what would have happened.
Definite mistake. You know, quality needs attention to deliver quality. Doesn't happen by accident. And quantity, in our case, diluted quality. And Marvel suffered greatly from that.
You know, volume sometimes can be detrimental to quality, and in our zeal to greatly increase volume, partially tied to wanting to chase more global subs for our streaming platform, some of our studios lost a little focus. So the first step that we've taken is that we've reduced volume. We've reduced output, particularly in Marvel.
And that will do nothing as long as you continue to do the same thing. It will do nothing but make things worse. It's like, oh, it's not 10 turds this year. It's just 2 turds. They all stink. It's not going to make a difference. Nerdrotic ain't even on the screen yet.
Greetings, you over 1 million awakening wonders and the 40% who haven't subscribed yet. You know, they say that the first step to recovery is admitting you have a problem. This brings us to Disney and Disney Marvel, because I got some breaking news for the 6th time in a row.
Wow.
Bob Iger, particularly when it comes to Marvel, has said he's going to focus on quality over quantity. Now, of course, you're already admitting that what you had been putting out was not quality, which we all know. And this was a surprising statement the first time we heard it early last year. So instead of Disney admitting they have a problem, it's starting to sound a lot like they are just telling you what they want you to hear. That's the gambit. Unfortunately for Disney, but fortunately for us who enjoy Disney Schadenfreude, just days after Deadline reported that Disney crapped out 4 of the 5 biggest bombs of 2023, which include Haunted Mansion, Wish, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Dysentery, and The Marvels. Bob Iger decided to follow up with a bomb of his own with the Disney's quarterly earnings call, which led to a hell of a lot of spin and a loss of 10% of their stock. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention it's just a month after the Nelson Peltz proxy battle, which gave the stock a bump. And now the stockholders got exactly what they voted for. More failure. So much so that Bob Iger had to essentially admit to it for the 6th time. And Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios co-president Luis Esposito had to do so as well. Now theirs was followed up with a lot of cope, but Bob Iger decided to say some of the quiet parts out loud and throw a couple of projects under the bus. And props to financial analyst Ben from Morgan Stanley for asking this question.
Got to see that episode.
I would love to just get your perspective on sort of the health of the IP at your studios. I know we've talked about this a lot since you've come back into the CEO role, but you have specifically a lot of Marvel content coming, both on TV and film over the next couple of years. That's an area investors are particularly, focused on. How are you feeling about that?
I heard on the call that he did not mention bringing out Snow White. He said what he had coming up for 2025, and Snow White was not mentioned. So people are wondering, did they cancel it? I think it would be best that they did.
About the sort of pipeline on the Marvel side specifically, and whether you think this IP is being reinvigorated to the extent you'd like it to be.
Not to state the obvious, but if any investors or stockholders were concerned about the Marvel sewage pipeline that Disney's been splooging out, maybe you shouldn't have voted for more of the same. But let's hear what Bob has to say.
One more time.
I don't know how people could have been dumb enough to vote the old team back in, considering everything they've been doing. I've been ready for some change. You know how glad I am that I do not own Disney stock? I mean, seriously. And I had thought, around the time where I was just riding high, just loving all superhero movies, I was thinking, I think I want to buy into Disney. Good thing I didn't.
We've been working hard with the studio to reduce...
You know I didn't? I forgot. Thank God for a forgetful mind.
...output and focus more on quality. That's particularly true with Marvel.
Yes, we've heard that many times. But it's what he says next, if you listen very carefully, that throws a couple of future projects under the bus.
Is it going to be quality DEI and ESG projects, or will it be quality projects that are focused around the characters, the fundamentals of the characters, and the wants and needs of the fans? That's what makes me wonder.
I know you mentioned television shows. Some of what is coming up is a vestige of basically a desire in the past to increase
his eyes so big.
We're slowly going to decrease volume.
Oh, now what could you be talking about? Maybe Agatha, whatever the hell it's titled now, that's been completed for months and delayed multiple times? Or how about Ironheart, which has been completed for a year and a half, which has been...
Are you serious? I didn't know either one of them were completed. Ironheart was terrible in that movie. Please. Be smart.
Delayed multiple times, and yes, we can include Echo, which after it was released all at once,
horrible.
It was never to be heard from again because it never had a leg to stand on. But that's not all. The Weatherman plans to reduce Marvel's output to the same exact output that they crapped out in 2023.
And go to probably about 2 TV series a year instead of what had become 4, and reduce our film output from...
Just think about it, Marvel. If you were doing like 4 TV series a year, and you were doing it the Marvel way before Endgame, you guys would be killing it. Emperors of the entertainment business.
Maybe 4 a year to 2 to the maximum 3.
Now, of course, Bobby already brought up the one positive, Deadpool and Wolverine, which we will get to. And then he talks about what follows. The 2 good films in 2025 that apparently weren't good enough to name.
And we're working hard on what that path is. We've got a couple of good films in 25, and then we're heading to more Avengers, which we're extremely excited about.
You mean these Avengers? And those two unnamed films are a Captain America sequel without Captain America and a
excited about.
You mean these Avengers?
I'm cool with Loki. I'm cool with Scarlet Witch. I'm cool with Cap. I'm cool with motherfucker. I don't know why I couldn't Nick Fury. I'm pretty cool with Shang-Chi. Oh God, everybody else I'm just like, oh Lord.
And those two unnamed films are a Captain America sequel without Captain America and a Thunderbolts film without the original Thunderbolts from the comics, which is essentially a Suicide Squad for Marvel, and we know how well the Suicide Squad films and game did for DC. But after the bomb that was the Marvels, after years of denials, Kevin Feige was forced to admit failure. Kind of. Kevin Feige admits Marvel failures. I just like saying that. And plans to exceed expectations in 2024. Well, we'll see about that. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige and co-president Luis D'Esposito, who quite frankly did most of the admitting, have acknowledged the problems with the MCU projects in recent years. The two admitted that Marvel had diluted itself in its plan to expand and have suggested countermeasures to fix things in the future.
This is what DEI and ESG has done to Disney stock. Oh, I'm not going to kill your stock. I'm just going to hurt it really, really bad.
Well, like I just said, it was actually Marvel Studios co-president Luis D'Esposito who admitted to Empire magazine that it's been a rough time for the Marvel Cinematic Universe following a rocky 2023 that included box office flops like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and The Marvels. The latter title is the lowest grossing MCU film of all time with just $206 million worldwide. Marvel didn't fare better in television, where series such as Secret Invasion were widely panned by critics, deservedly so. But here comes the cope. According to D'Esposito, if we had just stayed on top, that would have been the worst thing that could have happened to us. We took a little hit.
Yeah, that's wrong. Absolutely wrong. That's a spin. That's what we call a spin. Cope. That's what we call that.
Coming back strong.
WTF, Gary? WTF? What the fuck does WTF mean?
A little hit, huh? Well, let's talk about the 9 films that Disney has produced since Endgame, starting with 2021. Black Widow, where the lead actress sued Marvel. Shang-Chi and the Eternals all underperformed, and it was all blamed on COVID.
I actually enjoyed it for the most part.
Until the Sony-produced Spider-Man No Way Home blew away that argument. Then there was 2022 with Doctor Strange Mom, Thor Love and Blunder, and Black Panther Wakanda Forever. 3 horrible films that did generate some revenue, but thanks to the bloated budgets, not a lot of profit. And we've already talked about 2023 with Antifa Man and the Marvels, but it did feature the one film since Endgame that most people generally liked and actually made some money. A holdover for...
I would have bought it, but it's so sad to me. Like, it's haunting to hear Rocket cry and scream when his friend gets killed in this. I can't buy it. It's too sad of a movie for me to buy.
From the old days, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And of the 9 live-action D-plus series, only 1 has gotten a second season, and it was awful. Loki. Maybe when you do too much, you dilute yourself a little bit, D'Esposito added. We're not going to allow that cope here. It's not about how much you produced. It was how much crap you produced. We're not going to do that anymore. We learned our lesson. Words are wind.
That's about all the worst I can take.
Now, I've actually heard this admission of failure attributed to Kevin Feige, but it actually comes from Deadpool and Wolverine director Sean Levy. Speaking with Empire, Levy is hoping to reignite the Marvel Cinematic Universe with this year's Deadpool and Wolverine and promises that the multiverse adventure will be something different. You have to be living under a rock not to know that the last few Marvel movies have failed to ignite the world in the way that so many did. Now, the closest Kevin Feige comes to admitting anything is when he's talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. It's nice to be able to rally behind one feature project this year, Feige said. Hey, I wonder who's responsible for putting out all of those projects. Could it have been the head of Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige? I'm much more comfortable being the underdog. I prefer being able to surprise and exceed expectations. So it does seem like the last year, which has not been ideal, has set us up well for that. Okay, you know what? It's all cleared up. They meant to fail so they could succeed again by making all the same mistakes they made before.
I'm so confused.
But this brings us to Deadpool, which will be the much needed win that the MCU needs. Now, there's a saying in Hollywood, you're just one good movie away from turning things around. Unfortunately, that's not the case with the MCU.
Well, that's what they tell you. Like in the music business, you're one hit away from a comeback. And it's true. However, if you come back and then everything after that is garbage, or if it's great and then garbage, then it's going to have this, this yo-yo effect that it's been having with stuff. And then, it's like garbage. We got Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and garbage. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to work. So you better make sure you're putting out all bangers.
About 2 or 3. But if they really want to save the MCU,
send them to me first, Marvel. I'll tell you. We've worked together in the past. I've worked with, Disney in the past on Star Wars things. Hey, send them to me. Send me some screeners. I'll let you know what I think. And because you've known me for years. You guys been watching me for years. Your stars in your movies watch me and everything. I'm going to tell you the truth. So there you go.
Deadpool and Wolverine can't just be self-deprecating. It needs to lean into the meme, because that's what Disney Marvel has become.
Mind putting your mask back on? Super hard to eat while I'm wearing it. It's super hard to eat when you're not.
All right, finally aged. Pegging isn't new for me, friendo, but it is for Disney.
I smell what you're stepping in, Sensei. Your little cinematic universe is about to change forever. I am Marvel Jesus.
And that's good, but I think they should really lean into the meme. For example, make a joke like, who left the X-Babies with Bryan Singer? Or hell, even acknowledge that 2 former X-Men directors have fled to Genosha to avoid allegations. Have Deadpool land in the MCU timeline, which just so happens to be the very same timeline that America Chavez's moms come from. It would be a feminist idiocracy. There are endless possibilities, but in all seriousness, Deadpool and Wolverine looks pretty good, and I'm looking forward to it. It will probably be the only film that cracks $1 billion this year worldwide. Unfortunately, it's what comes next. Captain Black Falcon America, the Thunderbolts, featuring heavy hitters like the gender-swapped Ghost and the gender-swapped Taskmaster, holdovers like Agatha and Ironheart, which again Bob Iger essentially admitted were garbage,
Mega Man,
Fantastic Four, which initially had promising casting until the female Silver Surfer. It's been 5 years since Blade was announced, and they still can't figure out that they should just make a movie about Blade hunting vampires. And the one good thing they have out, X-Men 97, they fired the writer Bo DeMeo. And that's just Marvel. What wasn't mentioned at all in that quarterly earnings call was Star Wars. For good reason, the last 3 Disney Star Wars trailers they put on YouTube all got ratio. The first Acolyte trailer, Star Wars Out.
I heard they turned off the comments. You know what I'm saying? Like, you turn off the comments on a YouTube video, in many people's eyes, it's admitting defeat. Yeah.
Outlaws, and the second Acolyte trailer, which was released on Star Wars Day.
Yes.
But not to worry, Bobby Iger is slowing down that volume by releasing 6 more films this year, which are all either prequels or sequels, and 3 of them are Fox holdovers.
I feel great about the slate coming up, including 3 of the big movies that we have with Planet of the Apes this weekend, followed by Inside Out 2, which is a great film, and then Deadpool, you mentioned Marvel, Ben, coming in July. And then the end of the year, we've got, we have Alien the end of the summer, and then we've got Moana 2 and Mufasa at the end of the year.
Speaking of ratioed trailers, Mufasa's getting destroyed so much.
Yeah, I heard that a lot of people hate Mufasa. Tell me in the comments why they hate it. I thought the trailer was all right. But then again, I liked the Ghostbusters trailer with the women in it, and found out later how many people hated it. But then when I went to see the movie, movie was garbage. I really, to this day, I thought the trailer was funny. But I thought I was like, okay, well, it looks all right. You know what I mean? Let me know why people hate Mufasa so much.
So they had to remove the comment section. But it's Bob Iger's next comment that really describes everything you need to know about the very sad state of Disney Marvel, Disney Star Wars, Disney Pixar, and Disney.
So overall, I feel great about the slate. It's something, as you know, that I've committed to spending more and more time on. The team is, I think, one that I have tremendous confidence in, and the IP that we're mining.
What did you say?
And the IP that we're mining.
IP mining. Old Bob said the quiet part out loud, and quite frankly, it's the best description of everything wrong with Hollywood right now. So I thank you for your...
I've heard of IP mining before, but I never looked into it. I assume it's something bad. IP mining sounds like something where you're just like taking every little bit that you can from a particular IP to try to make some money off of it, whether it's garbage or not. That's what it kind of sounds like. Just putting out a bunch of stuff.
Honesty, but you'll have to
milking it dry.
Being skeptical. Talk is cheap. I suppose we'll find out in 2027 if they turn things around, but until then, just looks like more of the same. Disney Marvel admits failure, plans more failure.
nerdrotic.com.
Boy, oh boy. Get on over to Nerdrotic. Tell them Tyrone Magnus sent you. And if you're over here right now, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Post comments down below. 10 million subscribers.